friends, how's your quarantine going? We got to thinking about it and wanted to share with you a couple of advices about things that you can do to get through quarantine. And one of the things that popped up in the news was this whole idea of people buying out toilet paper and in America. And we're thinking, why are they buying out toilet paper? Because nobody's rushing to get toilet paper here in Ukraine, and so we thought to start with, we would share with you some advice about toilet paper.
So for years, we had a very, I would say, utilitarian approach to toilet paper in the former Soviet Union. I was born and raised in the former Soviet Union, so actually no paper went to waste. And it's not because there was this great recycling program going on, but because paper that was not used anymore, like old books, for instance, magazines. Here we have a nice Sovietsky Soyuz, Soviet Union magazine from November of 1955.
That wasn't just for toilet paper though, was it?
No, this one wasn't, but no, this one is actually good paper. Yeah. Books that you are not interested in anymore, that are outdated, books that are not serving their purpose. Maybe kids' homework, notebooks that nobody's using anymore. All of these things were used as toilet paper. All of these things you could find in people's outhouses. And you'd say, how can this be used as toilet paper? Well, it may look uncomfortable now, but it will become comfortable after you crumple it up, do it really, really well. And then when you unfold it, it's a lot more pleasant to use.
I don't know, this still doesn't look that soft, honestly.
Often people use newspaper because the paper is thinner and it could be used. But anyway, in case you find yourself short of toilet paper, you can try this at home.
Okay, but I think, maybe you have to kind of like really...
Yeah, you can roll it in your hands.
But I do remember after the Soviet Union coming to Ukraine and finding just like, pieces of like notebook paper or somebody's homework or even like some old school books in the outhouse. And so it seemed like there was never a lack of some sort of paper to use. So there has not been any run on toilet paper here. So that's
a tip for you guys out there who are suffering with no toilet paper.
We have plenty of toilet paper here. It's fine. But I want to give you a number of tips that we think will help to get through this quarantine. We're here at home with the family, with our 4 kids, and homeschool. So it's different than the regular life that we're used to, and sometimes that change and just the flow of life can sort of get us off balance. And there's a number of things that we can do to bring that balance back and help us to be on the right track. So Christina, why don't you start? What is your first tip for getting through quarantine?
My first tip would be to think back on all the projects that you have procrastinated on. For instance, filing papers. By the way, if you're not aware, the tax deadline has been extended, so you have a little bit of time left to file the papers and file your taxes.
Right. We haven't done our taxes yet.
The tax deadline has been extended to July 15th, 2020. So file the papers. Try to look around the house, the home, the apartment, wherever you live. Find things that you procrastinated repairing. Light switches.
Yes, thank you. So Christina finds those projects for me quite readily. So actually, last week I repainted the girls' room, did some remodel in there, pretty much finished that up. I've got to put a couple light switches on, I think, that are left. So we are doing some of those things that keeps us active during the quarantine. And honestly, I think if we hadn't had a quarantine, I don't know that it would have been really hard for me to find the time to do that.
Yes, that's true.
Because I had trips planned. I was supposed to go to Kyiv. I was supposed to go to Eastern Ukraine. Different ministries planned, and those things are often very difficult to do when you especially have a lot of travel plans. So in a way, it's been kind of a break from some of those things, but I can't say that
It'll continue?
Well, I can't say that I'm really any less busy because of the remodels.
I love you.
Okay. All right. My next. Another thing that I would suggest is keeping a schedule. I find that when you don't have to get up at a certain time and have to be a place at a certain time, that we tend to fall into some bad routines. And it's helpful to just keep a schedule for yourself, even if you don't have to go to work or be somewhere at a certain time. So having a time when you get up every morning, having a time when you eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, those can help keep your life in balance. And having a time when you do certain things, like when you read your Bible, when you spend time with the family, there's probably work things that you need to be working on. When are you doing that? And just try to keep that schedule, and that can help keep you sane and help make you productive during this time as well.
It really helps us that the children are still in school, but they're doing their school online, and they all have a way to contact their teachers. And so they have to be on the call at 8:15 to start their day. And so that really helps us to at least keep us up and about.
Yeah, definitely. All right. What about you?
Okay. The next thing is check your pantry. And maybe this is more for women. Check your pantry and try to find things that you bought a long time ago, but you have not gotten around using. Maybe it's some sort of exotic ingredient, and just come up with a recipe. Find a recipe online and try to use that ingredient in the recipe. Try something new like that.
All right, my next piece of advice is find some time to talk with people that maybe you haven't talked with in 6 months, maybe a year. Maybe it's somebody who lives far away from you. Maybe they don't live far away from you, but you haven't talked to them in a while. I've definitely had a couple of conversations recently with people that I haven't talked to in a year or so. And it's good to just reconnect with them, see how they're doing, see how you can pray for them, and just find out how their life is going, and maybe encourage them in some way too.
My next tip is to declutter your home. There are many areas in our home that get overlooked because we're busy, because it's just one more thing to do and we don't have time when we come home tired, or if we've been in the house all day busy with the kids, then we don't want to even think about another thing to do. But since we're stuck at home again, and all of us are stuck at home at the same time, I think it would be good, and it would make more room to breathe if we declutter things. And we can start, for instance, with decluttering our wardrobes. If you have things in your wardrobe that you haven't worn for a year, definitely it can go, unless it's a special attire, for instance, like a special suit or special dress. Donate, put aside, use it as rags, but declutter things on your surfaces. Look into your maybe DVD collection. Maybe you don't need those anymore. Declutter your kitchen utensils and items in your kitchen that fill those shelves, and you will see that it will definitely help you to feel better about staying at home.
My next piece of advice is to read some good books. I've been using this time to read some books. I just finished Lectures to My Students by Charles Spurgeon, which was excellent. I definitely recommend it to especially anyone that's in ministry. I don't know why I went so long without reading it. And then right now I'm reading a biography of Dietrich Bonhoeffer. And again, very excellent. I've just kind of started that biography, but already just really been blessed by reading about his life and his testimony during World War II Germany. So take this time to read, and maybe read some of those things that you've been putting off. Maybe read some of the things that are just inspiring and encouraging, like biographies. I find those to be very helpful for my spiritual life as well.
All right, another tip that I have would be to stay on top of your dishes and laundry, and put those kids to work.
Yeah.
If you have children at home, put them to work. They need to get some activity, some wiggles out of them. They can do the dishes. They can help you vacuuming. They can do many things around the house, tidy up.
And I find that we kind of tend to have more like dishes because everyone's home all the time.
Yes.
So like usually the kids would eat lunch at school. They wouldn't make dirty dishes, but they're home, so people run into the kitchen. Yeah. So you really have to keep on top of those things.
Yeah, so because everyone is at home again, and it's just a lot of people all the time. For us, it's essential that we stay on top of essential things like dishes, laundry, and just picking up throughout the house.
Right. My next piece of advice would be to write some letters. I'm really a big fan of writing letters, and what I mean, not just like little messages on Facebook Messenger, hey, how are you, and back and forth, but I mean like really writing a letter that would be a page or 2 pages, and either sending that by email or maybe even better yet, writing a letter out by hand and sending it by regular post. I think we're in such a rush today that we often don't have time to do that. But a letter that you could send to maybe a son or a daughter or a parent, maybe a grandparent, maybe a grandchild, and that would be a letter that could not just let them know how you're doing, it could let them know about that, but also it could encourage them in the Lord and could give them helpful advice for their life. Those are those things that people read and that they cherish, and this is a great time to do that.
Another tip from me that I found actually very helpful was to limit how many times I check our stocks, our retirement fund. And that goes not just for your stocks, your investments, but it goes for the news also that you watch. Yes, the news are very unsettling and it can be very, very scary. And I think that we all understand the severity of what we're facing, but if we just limit the amount of that coming into our minds, we can just concentrate on praying about the world in this difficult situation, but we don't need to just constantly hear about this over and over and over again.
Yeah, I think it's good to keep up on the news so you know what's going on in your area and what kind of restrictions they put in, but certainly it's so easy to get on there, start reading, start listening to the news, and within 5-10 minutes, I'm like, oh no, what is happening to our world? And so I think it is important to limit that and to be able to have a balance of knowing that it is important to know what's going on, but I'm not going to sit here and just focus on that all day and just, honestly, the news just kind of repeats itself every 10 minutes, doesn't it?
And then focus on how much money you lost in the last month.
Okay, the next one, plan some special events time with family. We're home with family now, and I think that there's so many times we wanted to do a game night or do a special breakfast or a special dinner or get together and just read the Bible together as a family. Use this time to do those things. I know that, for instance, tomorrow morning, Saturday morning, since nobody's running off anywhere, we're going to have a special breakfast. We're going to get the waffle maker out. We're going to make some waffles. I'll probably read the Bible then. And these are amazing times to use for family and for putting into our children's lives those spiritual lessons and scriptural truths that they need.
All right. Try to learn something new. Or maybe try to get better at something that you already know. For instance, you can do some language learning. There's a very good app that I've been using. It's Duolingo, and I'm sure that lots of you are familiar with this app. And it's a very good and easy and fun program to learn, for instance, for me to learn Spanish. And I know that Caleb tried learning Russian on it.
No, actually, I use that mainly for Spanish and Ukrainian, although I have not been on it recently, to tell the truth.
Or you can watch some YouTube tutorials on how to sew or how to make something yourself. And you can make something helpful and needed in your home out of what you have at home. So time to put your brain to work. Another
piece of advice I would give is take time to exercise physically. I think that when you're stuck at home, the tendency is to just kind of be on the couch, watch things, and think, well, I can't go outside, so I can't get the exercise. Well, first of all, we actually have been going outside. We do it and try and keep the social distance. I mean, we're not keeping social distance now because if we both get sick, we both get sick. But we try to keep the social distance.
We wear masks.
I do wear a mask. I actually have a, like, what do you call it?
Buff.
A buff or something, comes all the way up over my beard, covers my whole beard. So we do go outside. We went out and got a walk in yesterday, kind of go to places where there's just not a lot of people. But you can also exercise indoors. I mean, exercise indoors and whatever it is, push-ups or sit-ups.
Lots of videos on YouTube.
Yeah,
lots.
there's a lot
Lots of trainers are putting out videos out there.
Take 15 minutes out of your day in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. Hey, get some exercise in. It definitely changes your outlook and helps keep your mind running clearly as well.
And our last tip here from both of us is to spend your time on social networks mindfully. Because I think that in these times, when we have a little more time on our hands, we're more at home, we tend to scroll mindlessly and just spend hours. Actually, you can spend hours without even noticing that you have.
Yeah, and I find that that's an important thing for me, definitely, that these are times when you want to use social media more, and that's normal, and that's good because that's the way we can connect with people, but we need to do it mindfully. And that means that I want to go on there specifically to connect with people. And if I go on just without any kind of a purpose, then I can just scroll and scroll and scroll, watch all kinds of different videos. But if I go on thinking, okay, I would like to send a message to so-and-so, or I would like to give people an update about this, that's more useful. And so I think that we need to kind of limit our time on those social media platforms and do it in a very mindful way.
So can you share with us a little interesting fact about what pops up on your Instagram?
I was on Instagram last night and I was scrolling a little bit, and one of the things that you notice is that these social medias, they will start giving you the videos and things that you tend to watch. And so if I go to the search on Instagram and start watching videos, it pops up like exercise, weightlifting, and babies. So I guess
babies?
Well, yeah. What? You didn't know that?
I think
that's just a grandfather.
Yes, I think we're really missing out on our granddaughter visiting because they were supposed to arrive yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday.
So because of this pandemic, this visit is delayed till probably Christmas time. So yes, I think that you're missing a little girl.
Yeah, so we're missing our little granddaughter,
but next time we'll see them, we'll see two granddaughters.
Yeah, right. Yes. All right, friends, I hope those pieces of advice were helpful to you. Share with us in the comments or send us a note. How are you getting through quarantine? How are you staying up on your devotions and Bible reading and walk with the Lord during this time? What are you doing to make sure you are spiritually, physically healthy during this quarantine? Love to hear from you, so send us a note or leave it in the comments below.
See you next time.